Hello and welcome to my channel, Inspiring Life Changes. My name is Colette and I'm here today to do a reading for all Aries out there. It is a general reading, so it's not going to resonate with every Aries out there. Hopefully it will resonate with some of you and you'll be able to take something from this reading. If you don't know where you're, because it's a general reading for Sun, Moon, Venus and Rising, and if you don't know where those planets or those signs are, which houses and which signs you have where, I will be putting a link down below so that you can go and check out your natal chart if you don't know already. It's a free natal chart, so you just go in and put your information in and it will come up and tell you what's what. And if the reading doesn't resonate with you, you might want to check out the other videos that I'll be putting out for you as well, for the Moon, Rising and Venus. So you could always go and look at those. I haven't put them all out yet. I'm in the process of working through them. So hopefully I will get them done over the next few days and you'll be able to go and have a look. Before I start, I would also say that I will be doing some astrology in this reading, and I will also kind of, if I think it's necessary or useful, be kind of combining the astrology of what's happening at the moment actually in with the tarot reading as well, because I've been finding that the tarot readings that I have been doing are quite significant when it comes to the astrology as well. So although I will read out a little bit of astrology for you to give you some understanding of what's happening, because I think at the moment the astrology that is taking place is very significant and very important for everybody on the planet right now. So I will give you a little bit of background knowledge as to what's going on. I also would just like to say that on the 11th of the 11th, when we had the portal, I either did the video that day or the day before, I can't quite remember, but there is on my channel a 11/11 portal Sun conjunct Mercury, retrograde in Scorpio, full moon in Taurus video out there for everybody with more information and insights that you might want to go and check out as well, because that kind of covers, it was a collective reading, so it kind of covers the whole astrology and the tarot cards also. So you might want to go and check that out. Also, if you're interested in having a private reading from me, which will give you more insight and information into your own situation, because this is just general, you could book with me through my email, which will be in the description down below as well. And I have managed to put my PayPal link on my channel, so anybody who wishes to give me a donation, that would be greatly received. And anybody who wants a private reading, you can also pay via the PayPal link if that's how you would rather do it. Apart from that, I can't think of anything else. Many thanks to those who have subscribed to my channel. Please, if you like my videos, will you thumbs them up for me? Subscribe, because I'm trying to grow my channel. Really, this is my aim at the moment, is to grow my channel. So if you could share, that would be wonderful as well. And tap the bell so that you can receive future readings. And I think that's everything covered. So let's get on and do some astrology first of all. I've written down some information. So Aries, everything is taking place for you in all the houses that everything takes place in, if you know what I mean. So for you, Aries, the first house is the first house of Aries. The second house is the second house of Taurus. That is how it is, because your sun is in the first house, and the first house is the Aries house. And then it continues on. So all the major transits or the major influences of the astrology at the moment are taking place in the exact houses that they're in, if you understand what I mean by that. So for instance, everything that's taking place in Scorpio is in the 8th house, and for you that is actually your 8th house, whereas if it was Taurus it would be the 7th house. So that's the difference between where your sun sign is. It changes the houses of where these things take place. And it may also be a reason why people say about Aries that everything is so black and white, because you don't have any kind of distinction between the two, if you know what I mean. It's like that's how it is. It's like, you know, this is your first house, this is your second house, this is your third house, this is your fourth house. There's no kind of combinations of different energies, in the sense that if you, for instance, as a Taurian, I have my first house as Taurus, and my 12th house, which is Pisces, is actually Aries. So it kind of changes the whole makeup of the astrology as well. So getting on with your own astrology, all this stuff that's happening with Mercury and the Sun just gone conjunct, which happened on the 11th of the 11th, and Scorpio retrograde, Mercury retrograde going right into Scorpio up to the 11th degree, kind of going backwards over where it's already been, which is what retrograde means, is all taking place for you in the 8th house. So the 8th house is ruled by Scorpio, which is the ruler of Pluto, is the ruler of Scorpio. So you've got a lot of really in-depth emotional kind of stuff happening for you, in the sense that it's almost like magnified for Aries, because you don't have any other energies to kind of subdue it or to water it down or to change it. So everything that Scorpio and Pluto represents is going to be really, really intense for you as Mercury makes its way back down through the underworld, which is basically what Scorpio is all about, as well as ruling things like death, rebirth, birth itself, poisons, scandals, secrets, hidden things, the occult, things that we kind of, you know, parts of ourselves that we even keep hidden away as well. So all of that is actually taking place in your 8th house, which kind of rules all those things as well. So for you, it's going to be a very intense time, I would say, Aries. There's going to be a lot of kind of Mercury being the mind. There's also this kind of a lot of thinking things. It's almost like there's going to be a battle between your feelings, which is all the Scorpio stuff, and your mind. So what you're feeling and what you're thinking, you may find very difficult to try and separate what's how can I put it? Separate kind of what's the logical side of things, where, you know, you've got your feelings in a really intense place at the moment. Scorpio, you know, Mercury going down into that whole underworld, digging out all this kind of stuff, and all this past stuff, wounds in particular at the moment. So you may be finding it quite difficult to kind of separate what you think you feel and what you actually feel, if you understand what I mean by that. That there's this kind of sense of, is that a reality, or is that something that I'm just kind of thinking is real? And this could all be highlighted as well because the moon has just been full in Taurus, which is opposite all the Scorpio stuff that's been taking place. And during that full moon on the 12th, there was a complete opposition between the moon and Mercury as well, and the sun. And Taurus rules for you, it is your second house, and it is all about your values and your needs and your wants, your desires, your earthly possessions. It is very earth orientated sign, Taurus, And so the full moon is kind of saying pull it back into your physical realm, which you may find quite difficult to do at this time with the Mercury retrograde taking place as well. So it's kind of saying, like, you know, look at your physical body, look at what you need on a physical level, look at your diet, perhaps look at the way that you are taking care of yourself, look at the way that you're look at how, you know, do you fulfill your own needs, or are you looking to others to do that for you? Because Scorpio is also about people. It's how we kind of relate to people, rather than, it's different to Libra in the sense of relationships being one-to-one. This is more about people, our kind of the way that we integrate with people around us. So there could also be an element of you kind of having to look at your own needs in the sense of fulfilling them for yourself, rather than expecting it always to come from somebody else. And at the same time as all this Scorpio stuff has been going on, there is also, we have Pisces with Neptune retrograde as well, and it will stay retrograde up until the end of November. So there's kind of this energy, a trining energy between, because they're both water signs, there's this kind of energy between the kind of dream world of Neptune and Pisces taking place within this scorpionic kind of Mercury retrograde as well. So there is this kind of illusionary aspect to it as well. And you may also find that you're having to kind of let things go that you kind of have been holding on to for a long time. And that could be physical things as well, because Taurus being a very physical planet, it may be making you release things, actually physically clear things out, get rid of them, like, you know, stuff that you've had hanging around for a long time that you may no longer need, or, you know, feel is worthy. So at the same time, there's also Uranus in the sign of Taurus, which is also retrograde, and so Uranus could also be causing kind of big changes to happen within that whole sphere of getting rid of things that no longer work for you, and really making you question your value system. And just sudden change in finance, maybe there could be elements of that as well, because Taurus rules the whole financial system. It isn't for, you know, by any chance that there's a big golden bull outside Wall Street. It's there for a reason, and one of the reasons is, if you go back in history as well, that, you know, the bull very much represented the kind of you know, the time before. It was the builder, it was the manifestor, the builder. There were, you know, pyramids were built during the time of the Taurian age, and so it's very much related to that kind of financial system and the kind of building of things. But with Uranus there, Uranus is kind of tearing things down that has been kind of built up. And we also have, at the moment, in your 10th house of Capricorn, you have Saturn and Pluto, and they are trining also over to Taurus during the full moon. And the full moon energy, by the way, doesn't just happen for one day. It lasts right up until the new moon, which will take place at the 26th of November, I believe, around about the same time as Neptune's going to go direct. So that's going to be quite interesting energy shifts as well. But yeah, with Uranus in Taurus at the moment, making these big shifts on a financial level and a physical level, you know, you could find that things that you thought you had kind of a solid base no longer have the solid base that you thought that they had. So there could be lots of shifts within your world. So just be prepared for those energies as well, Aries. And so I start your reading off with the cards by Tony Carmine Salerno, which are called the Namaste Blessing cards. And this is the card that came out for you, Aries. A rather beautiful coloured tree here on a kind of multicoloured, almost kind of quilt-like. Oh, that's better. Sorry about that, and a bit of a bad reflection there. Sort of kind of, it looks like a kind of quilt, multicoloured kind of quilt blanket with this beautiful tree with all this light radiating out from behind it. And the card itself is called A Blessed Gift. And it's saying that something beautiful, let me just take my glasses off because I can read better without them. Something beautiful soon manifests. Trust that all is unfolding in the most perfect way for you and all concerned. Have faith and continue to hold positive and loving thoughts. A blessed gift is on its way. And this could also have something to do with kind of new beginnings as well, because the Aries energy is always about new beginnings. And it could also be to do with healing, because you have Chiron in your sign at the moment, also retrograde. But Chiron, the wounded healer, is kind of making us look at all our all those wounds, all those things. It's kind of very similar in some way to the scorpionic energy as well. It's like kind of digging things up, but because it's in your sign of Aries ruled by Mars, it's also kind of making us rethink our kind of the way that we charge ahead, the way that we kind of particularly for Aries, you know, act before we think things through. So I think there is also an element of that within the whole Aryan astrology at the moment. There's this kind of need with Chiron there to kind of start reappraising the whole kind of because it's a very masculine kind of energy, Mars. It's very driven, it's very kind of push through things, and Aries can be very hot-headed and very kind of like, you know, will think about the consequences after the act. So Chiron is kind of in many ways saying, like, you know, a lot of the things that, a lot of the wounds, if you like, that have happened to you have kind of been of your own making, because you don't kind of hold yourself back and think things through before you kind of rush ahead, full steam ahead, and create situations that maybe you would be better by just holding yourself back a bit, which at the moment with Mars in Libra, I believe it's still in Libra, is kind of forcing you, shall we say, because it's opposing, Aries is opposite Libra, so there is this kind of opposite energies happening at the moment with Chiron and all the kind of Mars in Libra stuff. Forcing you to kind of reevaluate, harmonize, balance, kind of look at things again through a different kind of energy. Like, you know, is it fair? Is it right? Is it just? Those kind of thoughts kind of having to be put into place before you rush ahead with whatever it is that your new idea is. So the main part of this reading is being done with the Greek Mythic Tarot by Juliet Sherman Burke and Liz Green. They created it together. It's a kind of older tarot deck, been around for quite some years now. And the heart of your reading is your Knight of Cups, which is saying to me that there is a very romantic energy around you at the moment, Aries. Again, this is just general. It's not for everybody. It's not a personal, private reading. But it's saying that there is this kind of, this energy of romanticizing things, maybe seeing things a little bit too you know, kind of rose pink glasses, rather than actually seeing things for the way that they are. that you're wanting to kind of maybe not be very pragmatic at the moment, and not very kind of yeah, pragmatic and kind of orderly, if you like. This knight here, he has his cup in his hand, and he kind of wants to come in and offer it, or you want to offer it to somebody else. And you have over the top of you here the Fool card, which is kind of taking that leap into the unknown. So I get the feeling here that you know, it's something. I also get the feeling that it's somebody that you have been, that this other person doesn't yet know how you feel about them, that you haven't actually approached them yet with your feelings, that you're thinking about doing it, but you haven't actually done it yet. And you're a bit worried about how it's going to be received, and can you trust yourself to take that leap. It feels like quite a big decision with the Fool card above, because the Fool is kind of, I'd say maybe this knight here hasn't been involved with somebody for quite some time. There's been a time of retreat and staying out of all kind of relationship related scenarios with this card. But the Fool is kind of saying that there's a, you know, there's something here that you want to take a leap of faith for, and you don't know whether it will work or not. It's something you're having to put your trust and your faith into something bigger, which love is something that, you know, we can't have definites when it comes to love on any level. Nobody knows really how it's going to work out. But if we don't take that leap, and if we don't actually trust our instincts, or trust love itself, and trust the kind of feelings that we have, then we will never know whether or not it would or wouldn't. It is taking that kind of leap of faith into the unknown, trusting something is going to happen. So those are the cards that are at the heart of the matter, and what's in your head and what you're aware of at this moment in time is that you need to take that leap. Otherwise nothing's going to change. The Fool kind of represents a beginning as well. It's like the beginning of the journey, the Fool, which is why it has no number. It's the only card that has no number. All the other cards are numbered, but the Fool is the journey of the Fool is the story of the tarot, if you like. So it's like you're at the very early stages of something, and you're still wondering whether or not you should try. And at the bottom, and this is your subconscious, this could have something to do with the fact that you may not feel that financially that you have anything to offer. If it come out this way, I would say, because this is King Midas, and King Midas, everything he touched turned to gold, which isn't necessarily always a good thing. But up this way, to me, it says that he doesn't necessarily believe that he has, that what he has to offer with this Knight of Cups here, offering his cup, is going to be of value to the person that he wants to offer it to, which is maybe why he's kind of holding himself back here with the Fool. Because there is this, and again, it doesn't have to be masculine, or just because it's the card, the gender of the card is masculine. The King represents more of a dynamic active energy, whereas the Queen represents more of a passive receiving energy. That's just how the energies are. It's got nothing to do. You can have very kind of receiving, nurturing, gentle, masculine men or men in general, and you can have very kind of active, very forceful, very kind of direct, dynamic women. So it's not about the actual gender, it's always about the energy of the card and what the card is trying to represent. And here it's trying to, I feel it's representing this kind of feeling of like, you know, this person doesn't necessarily feel as though they've got, because it's reversed, they don't have the qualities or the yeah, the kind of, it's a very earth card. It's kind of your Capricorns, your Taurus and your Virgo. It's actually got a goat here as well in the background, if you see here. And if it was up this way, I would say, because Capricorns have this thing about kind of achieving and achieving and achieving, and it's like they kind of never feel as though they achieve enough. It's never enough. But because it's up this way, I get the feeling this is more about somebody who doesn't value their own achievements to be good enough for whoever it is that they're wanting to give their cup to. So the card that's moving away, that has been around for a while, is the Magician, which says to me that this person is very good, or Aries in general, because this is a general reading, Aries energy that's moving away here has been manifesting something. I have been manifesting, and this is very much a manifesting card as well, because he's manifested lots of financial gain, and you know, he's sitting pretty on his throne. He's got all his piles of money down here. He's got this coin in his hand. He's got his big mansion behind him. He's got all these kind of servants here waiting on his beck and call. So he's a very established, stable individual. And even up this way, I would say that what it's kind of saying is that he has manifested. He's a good manifester. He knows how to kind of make money work for him. But I think the issue here is more to do with whoever it is that he's interested in, maybe themselves not so money or finance orientated, and that's why he's having doubts. That's why he's worried about the fact that what he's achieved, not that it's not enough, but that it may be, in some way, it may even be too much. That what he's done may be too much. That this person who he got his cup for here may not necessarily be how can I put it? Maybe more of a kind of on a spiritual journey. That they may have more, you know, that their idea of why they're here may be very different from what his idea is. And he's been driven by the physical realm, by money, possessions, ownership, how much he can gather to him, how much he can create on the physical realm. And he's done very well at doing it. He's managed to manifest very well, which is what this card is all about. And interestingly enough for me as well, I've noticed earlier today that here the Magician is pointing up and pointing down. To me, that's all it's about, bringing the kind of spiritual realm, if you like, into the physical. It's like saying, you know, as above, so below. Bring it down and manifest it, make it real, because everything comes from an idea. And even on some level, you know, it could well already have been created elsewhere, and we're kind of bringing it into our physical reality by believing in it, believing we can do it, believing that we can make it manifest in the physical realm. And there he is with all his, he's got his sword for his mind. His mind is kind of, you know, very focused on what he's doing. He's got his pentacle here for the value, for the actual physical needs, what he's going to need to make it happen. He's got his creative caduceus here as well, you know, the wand, the making the creative dream a reality. And also he's got his cup of emotions as well, so he kind of, he's in love with what he's doing, which is why it's all working out for him and why he's managing to manifest it. And here this Fool is kind of doing the same thing, because he's pointing up and also pointing down. The thing about the Fool is he has to trust his instincts, and he knows that his instincts, he knows that there is something, there's a bigger energy, shall we say, than just his own. He knows he has to work on a different level, that although it's all very kind of, you know, manifesting in the physical, he also knows that he has to bring that energy from elsewhere, that he has to work with source, if you like. He has to work with spirit. He has to connect in order for it to come together. And I think that's something, there's a bit of a fish out of water kind of energy here, is with the Knight of Cups, because that's not how, it's not always how you can deal with love in the same way. And this king is kind of a bit, you know, kind of bemused by that energy. In the sense that love, you know, it's not something that you can just manifest it because there's somebody else involved. There's somebody else who's got their own ideas and their own creative path and their own needs, shall we say, for whatever it is that they want to bring into their reality. And the King of Wands is the next card up. And this is the energy that's moving in. This is coming in as the Magician is moving out. And again, another king sitting on his throne. King of Wands is very dynamic. He's very adventurous. He's the ruler, or he would be seen as being the fire energies of the zodiac. He's Aries, he's Leo, and he's Sagittarius. You've even got a ram here as well, Aries. So he does represent your energy in the sense of him being very fiery, headstrong, passionate, adventurous spirit, somebody who likes to make things happen. He's a real kind of, like, you know, shaker, doer and shaker, shall we say. You know, one of those charismatic characters that kind of gets things done, has ideas, kind of really brings them into the real world and makes it happen. And it could be somebody here who's got both these kind of traits. Even there could be somebody who's very kind of earthy and also very fiery in their makeup. So this is what's coming in, this very fiery, passionate, and it could be somebody who the Knight of Cups is very attracted to, because it could be an energy that they themselves as well don't possess in the same way. often I find that when a court card comes into play with the queens and the kings, it often means that it's a side of the personality that is missing or hasn't been allowed to develop. So these people can come into our lives in order for us to kind of not live it out through them, but kind of take that energy that they have. And you may find, you know, that this person is going to be incredibly adventurous and maybe kind of get you out of this place of being kind of stuck within yourself. That this person's going to be, because this is a very stable energy, it's a very kind of fixed energy. All the earth signs are kind of very fixed and stable and very kind of like, you know, matter of fact about things. Whereas this energy is like, you know, completely different. This is kind of, come on, let's, you know, let's just do it. Let's kind of, you know, we'll think about it later. It's like, you know, adventurous spirit. It's like, you don't have to plan everything. You don't have to kind of, you know, this is much more spontaneous. This is a really spontaneous energy. That's what I'm getting from this, is there's a real spontaneity behind this particular person that's going to come in to your lives, Aries. And he's going to fire things up. He's going to make you feel a very strong urge for change. I think change is probably one of the big things here, actually, is that he's going to kind of make you broaden your horizons as well. I somehow get the feeling he's going to broaden your horizons, even maybe move elsewhere, maybe even abroad, because he's a very adventurous soul. Or he's just, you know, you may end up taking lots of really good holidays together to different places that you possibly would never have thought that you would be going at any point in time. And this card is a card that came out when I was shuffling earlier. I got two cards come out together. The Two of Pentacles to me represents this kind of physical realm, again, kind of being at the table, the beginnings, the early start of something, which could have something to do with the, although it's not a romantic cup card, we do have to work on things to make something happen. We have to kind of, you know, again, he's got all these tools prepared here, like the magician. He's very good at kind of making things happen in the physical realm. So he's kind of ready. He's standing there, he's ready, just like the magician here is ready. You know, it's like, come on, let's do this, let's get this going, let's create something new. And I say, the reason I say create something new is because you've got the Ace of Swords come out here as well. And the Ace of Swords is very much about the kind of logical mind. It's also about cutting through things. It's about new beginnings. It's about the mind. So it's to do with logic, seeing things logically. Somebody who's very good at working out the details. So if this is to do with business as well, if this is a business relationship rather than just a romantic relationship, which it could be, although I do get the feeling that there could also be a romantic element involved here as well. This is Athene. This is the goddess of strategy. She appears in the Greek mythic tarot deck. She appears as the card of justice. Later on, in her higher form, she appears as the goddess of justice, Athene, who was Zeus's favourite daughter, who was, I believe, born from the head of Zeus, so they say. Zeus being the representation of Jupiter. She's very much your air energy, your Geminis, your Geminis, your Libras and your Aquarius energies. She also is a representation of Mercury. Mercury is a ruler of Gemini, which is ruled which is air energy, and it's Mercury that's going through all this reevaluation and starting new things in Scorpio, but birth, death, rebirth. We're in Scorpio seasons, so things are having to kind of change and die, and you know, even the seasons themselves, you know, if you look outside, what here in the northern hemisphere, everything is changing. It is the time of fall, of things, you know, dying back before they can be rebirthed. But that's what I get, this kind of energy here. It could also be to do with, like, you know, having to, if it is a business, there could be legal matters here as well. You may have to really look at the details of a business that you start up together and make sure that everything is as it should be. You know, get a lawyer involved, get somebody to look over the fine print of whatever it is that you're creating. But I get the feeling that you're creating something with somebody else. This isn't just about just one person here. But I am going to put a few more cards on. I'm using the Gilded Tarot deck here to try and get a bit more insight into the energies. And we have what's come out already. We have the Two of Pentacles again, which is very interesting. Two of Pentacles twice, so that is a definite kind of sign that there is something here that is being built. I was going to put it over the top of the Knight of Cups and the Fool. Together, this is the kind of joining energy here, is the Two of Pentacles. And for me, with the Fool, and it is saying that there is something here to be built on, literally, like, you know, taking that risk, that challenge. That may well be a business, but I do also think that there is a romance behind this as well. So it could well be a couple who are going to go into business together. With the Fool, there is this starting something fresh, something new, something that the details are yet to be worked out on. With the Ace of Swords down here, with the Two of Pentacles as well. So it may be that the two of you are kind of working through where it is that maybe you're going to start your business, or, you know, whether it's going to be in this country, whether it's going to be in the country that you're living in, is what I mean, or whether it's going to be in the country that you want to move to abroad, or and all the details that that would involve as well. The Ace of Swords, that it could, you know, be something that's going to have to be logically worked through, rather than it just being a kind of romantic idea. And so I'm going to get another card here for the King of Wands and the Knight of Cups. At the heart of the reading, you have your Knight of Cups. I'd like to see what this King of Wands is about as well. The adventurous spirit of the King of Wands. I think this is the person who wants to leave the country, move abroad, start a business, start something fresh. But they don't want to do it on their own. They want to do it with somebody who they are emotionally, romantically attracted to. So Aries, that could either be you that's wanting to start up a business with somebody else, or it could be somebody else who's wanting to start up a business with you. taking those. That's too many cards that have all fallen out there. Sorry about that. But I did get 2 others. We have the 8 of Cups, which implies walking away from something and leaving something behind, which could be if you're going to move to another country, you could be having to leave behind what you know, the people who you have built up your friendships with, your relationships with. There is a reluctance here. Somebody is reluctant because it's upside down. It's not easy to walk away from this. Somebody doesn't want to, you know, this is all, although some of them are spilt and some of them are still standing upright, there's a feeling here that, you know, there's attachments. There's attachments here that are going to have to be looked at and dealt with this King of Wands. This kind of fiery, passionate